Yo, what's up, guys? Johnny here. It is Monday morning, 10:21 a.m. I'm gonna start a little bit earlier today. I had this initially scheduled for 11 a.m., but I just realized the NFC playoff game starts in about 10 minutes, Chicago versus LA. And so I want to catch the mid to end of the first quarter there just for some prop bets. So I started this one about 40 minutes early. Wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. If you guys aren't subscribed, please do that now. When you're tapping in, checking in, let's like this video. Guys, also pinned in the comment section below, we hit all of our picks this weekend again. It's a couple bucks a month to enter our Discord. It's a professional community. It's a professional betting Discord. And it's not just boxing, it's MMA, all pro sports. And we're approaching 350 members in there currently. We started it in August, and we'll go over real quick. I talked about this a little bit when it happened 2 days ago. I don't know if I went live yesterday. I don't think I went live yesterday. So, real quick, we hit in Australia and we hit in California. I gave you guys the Jorge Chavez pick here. Told you Chavez would be Flores in the rematch. And we hit on our Australian parlay. And then we hit on all of our picks in California too. So yeah, we had another great weekend. Another great weekend. We hit on all of our picks. Guys, if you're not joined yet, click it. If you guys can't join on YouTube, whatever one you click, either our Patreon or Johnny Says Boxing, the VIPs on YouTube, you have two different options to enter the Discord. So it's the same price. If you want to support me further, just join our Patreon. You get more, you get all my picks in the Patreon there as well. So that's pinned in the comment section below. We have a couple good fight cards coming up. The big one is Andy Cruz versus Muratalla. The whole fight cards, some good fights on that. We know that Israel Madrimov, the return of Madrimov, the odds on his fight aren't that good. So we'll get into that. I'll bring the odds up in a second. If you guys are here for the American football, NFL, I do have Chicago winning. So I picked Chicago, their underdog at home, and I put my prop bets up as well. And then in the first game, Houston, I mean, geez, it was a sloppy game all around. CJ Stroud played like shit. He's a Buckeye, so I'm always going to cheer for Ohio State Buckeyes in the league. And Houston, and at the end of the day, with 4 interceptions, they were still in it in the fourth quarter. But the weather played a factor. I think Houston really needs to figure out their offensive coordinator. They need to, I think, bring in a veteran to help CJ Stroud develop a little bit. He's still kind of living off that rookie year out of Ohio State when he put up some amazing numbers. This was his third year now. And, I don't want to say maybe he's playing injured. I could be a bit too harsh on my Buckeyes. But either way, they lost. And the Patriots, Drake May, 23 years old, moving on to an AFC championship game. Shout out to Mike Vrabel, another Buckeye. So Coach Vrabel, first year in New England, they were 3-14 last year. They're 14-3 now. Talk about a turnaround. And he's an Ohio State Buckeye. Won 3 Super Bowls in New England, and now he's coaching them in an AFC championship game. So we'll see moving forward how they do, but let's stick back to boxing. I'm going to bring up, I did already give you guys if you guys are in the Discord, or if you guys are in the Patreon, I already gave you a 3-leg parlay. It plays 197. To get all my picks, just join here. Click that link. I'm going to bring up the odds right now. So yeah, I gave you guys a 3-leg parlay for the fights that go down this weekend. It pays 197, but I'm going to give you more. There's an underdog of the week I like. There's a long parlay for the rest of January and February that pays plus 5,000 that I shared in the Discord and I shared it in the Patreon. I'm going to lock it in probably on Friday. We're going to pull up the odds real quick. I'm not going to stay on too long today. I got a lot to do. I want to watch that playoff game. I got to get to I already taped Andy Cruz versus Muratalla. I did the Israel Madrimov tape. And then Callum Walsh versus Carlos Ocampo. I'll be releasing that as well. Oh yeah, we're not getting a lot right now. We are getting one, two, three. We're getting about 6 fights. I'll start here. These odds suck. Look, I'm not going to take Madrimov on the money line $1.03. It's just why would we do that? It's not good for parlay. It's not good for anything. So unless we get over and unders, unless we get knockdown props, unless we get method of victories, why even bet this fight? Austin Dienda versus Michelle Olivas. We'll get to that. Kane Sandoval, J Rod. This is a good fight. Kane Sandoval versus J Rod, good fight. Callum Walsh versus Ocampo. Walsh should win that fight. He's on one of my parlays. This is the one. So this is a good. The odds aren't that good. I'm waiting for a method of victory here. People think that Jesse Hart is live. I think at 36 years old, Jesse Hart's seen his better days. People are going to be like, "Look, guys, I've been back and forth with one of our subs on Instagram. Just because a guy comes out of Philly doesn't mean every Philly guy is a good fighter. I mean, there's a reason. Yeah, Jesse Hart's a Philadelphia guy, but I know tons of Philadelphia guys who can't fight. So if that's your reasoning, I'm only saying that because one of the guys I'm going back and forth with on my um on this pick, he keeps all he's telling me is Jesse Hart's a tough Philly guy. Philly's gonna win. I was like, what are you talking about? I know some pussies from Philly too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you're from Philly, just because you're from Cleveland, just because you're from Houston, there's pussies everywhere and there's savages everywhere. When you're looking at Khalil Coe's a savage. Khalil Coe's not going to lose to a 36-year-old Jesse Hart. Khalil Coe, I mean, if you got a tale of two Khalil Coe's. When he had, we know he fought Manny Gallegos 2 times. That first Gallegos fight, he didn't look good. And that second Gallegos fight, in between the two, it came out that in the first fight, Khalil was sick. He wasn't 100%. And then we saw him at 100%. Jesus Christ. And then you got to see a Khalil Coe that everybody talked about coming up through the pros. That like this guy is next in line. I think Khalil Coe will handle the 36-year-old Jesse Hart pretty convincingly. The numbers aren't that good though. Like that $1.16 on the money line really doesn't pay a lot. We're gonna wait. It's only Monday here. It's Sunday in America. So as we progress closer to the weekend, we should get some over and unders on that. We should get method of victories, a knockout, or a decision. And obviously, I go live every day. So if you're new to the channel, guys, I say welcome. I do live streams every day. If you go to my playlist, Fight Predictions playlist, you'll see my Stats Don't Lie videos. That's where you'll get my edited breakdown, prediction, and analysis of these fights. I'm also going to be doing my first UFC Stats Don't Lie video in 4 years. So I used to only break down MMA and UFC on this platform like 5, 6 years ago. I'm going to reintroduce the MMA into the ball game, but you're also going to get the boxing more than ever. So let's look at Raymond Muratalla versus Cruz. And these odds are currently crashed. I locked this in yesterday too. I got Andy Cruz at $1.49, and his odds are currently dropping. Look, Muratalla, people are going to get excited about his power. People are going to get excited about his undefeated record. And there's going to be a conversation about Andy Cruz not having a lot of pro fights, about leaving a lot of his pedigree in the amateurs. I don't think so. I think Andy Cruz, I think every fight we see Andy Cruz, it's the best version, especially since him teaming up with Bozy, who just happens to be a Philly guy. So there you go. My whole point with the whole Philly thing is just because you're from somewhere doesn't mean you're a badass. Like it's yes, it is a narrative. There is rhetoric around that, like, oh, this kid's a tough Mexican or this is a tough Russian. But if you're arguing and debating me, you can't just say he's a Philly guy, he's gonna win. I need more. I need game plan. I need strategy. I need plan B, plan C. So that I don't see Jesse Hart a path to victory beating Khalil Coe. I just think his energy is too much. His jab is too much. His youthfulness is too much. And the version we saw the second time against Gallegos, he handles Jesse Hart. Now back to the diamond here. Look, boxing it's not knockout. It's not knockout. It's called boxing. And what makes the best boxers is speed, timing, reflexes. Um, and Andy Cruz does all of it. Andy Cruz is the full package in my opinion. I think it's he's a world champion, and I like Cruz on points at 194. So that right there, method of victory. I love that. I love Cruz. I like the over. I like the fight to go the distance. I like Cruz on points. I do have Andy Cruz locked in already on a 3-leg that I gave the boys in the Discord and the Patreon. So that's where I stand with that. Yeah, Coach Jab looked world class, and a lot of that had to do with him being healthy, him being 100%. We saw what he looked like when he wasn't healthy, and there was a big, guys. We always talk about this on the channel. Not many fighters go into fight night 100%. You guys would be shocked with how many fighters go into their fight. Training camps are brutal. Cutting weight is brutal. Sparring is brutal. Just training a lifelong athlete, your body's going to break down. It really, and this is why having a good team, a good camp, a good coach, guys around you to pull you back is very important as well. We've seen super uber talented guys go about their business without having people hold them down, and we watch sabotage, self-sabotage occur. Boxing is a sport known for that. So with Khalil Ko, you saw the performance in the first guy, and if you do your tape, just watch the two Manny Gallegos fights. First fight and second fight. First fight he wasn't 100%. Second fight he was. We get that version. He handles Hart pretty convincingly in my opinion. Julius over. Yeah, Muratalla Cruz. If you guys don't want to pick a winner, pick the over. I think the fight goes the distance. I love Cruz on points. GK, he definitely had some trouble, although he did figure it out. Don't know what you're talking about there. Let's move on. Let's look at I want to talk real quick about the long parlay. So let's do this real quick. Let's go. I shared this in the Patreon. Now this is when I say long parlay, I'm talking about sometimes we do them week to week. We've hit 2 weeks in a row. There people were spreading rumors. Look, guys, if you guys are in the Discord, you know we're winning. That's all I'm saying. I picked Jorge Chavez. We were up. We won Chavez big on points, and we won him on the money line. There's random YouTube channels spreading misinformation. So the Discord boys, just go to my channel. If I post all my receipts up on my YouTube channel, you can see the tickets. But when we're talking about a long parlay, January, February, March, I put this together in the Patreon. Check these odds out. These are just money line. This is just fun. This is, I think, 14 of them. So we'll go Callum. So I'm gonna make this live on Friday probably. Callum, Cruz, and this is for sort of the entertainment boxers, the guys who like to bet to keep in. This is an entertainment sort of ticket. Adam Azim versus Lemos. Look, I think Adam Azim's the legit. I like Azim's game. That's 3. We're going to take this, I think, all the way to March. And I'll share this. All right, because I have Kelly as my dog of the month, I'm not going to put this on my money line parlay. Adames versus Ammo. One of you boys in the Discord told me that Ammo was going to beat Adames. I don't see it. Austin Williams is a good athlete. Carlos Adames is a world-class boxing champion. Keyshawn versus Jermaine. Keyshawn. I like Ortiz, though. I think that'll be competitive. Teo versus Shakur. I think Shakur win. I don't think that. Look, I don't think this fight's going to be close. I think Shakur. I like Shakur by decision, obviously on points. I think he reminds people why he's so great. I think Xander handles a Barao. Look, Xander at 22 years old, he's massive for the division. When I talk about Xander Zayas, I think about a guy who's going to be a champion at He's already been a champ at 54. I think he becomes a champ at 60. I think before it's all said and done, he could be a champ at 68. He's young, hungry, good timing, technically sound. I think he's too much for Burrell. I like him here at $1.31. We're going to continue on our Mission Down Boxing's future schedule. We got Nick Ball versus Figueroa. Generally, I don't bet on Figueroa fights because his last name's Figueroa, him or Omar. But I'm taking Nick Ball here. I think Nick Ball should steamroll him, especially the last version. I think Figueroa, for him to even be getting these big title shots still is crazy to me. That shows that he has friends in high places. This isn't Figgy from 5 years ago, guys. Lee Wood versus Warrington. This is an interesting fight. I'm going to take Lethal Lee Wood here. Josh Warrington, I mean, he seems more motivated than ever, but his durability is a question. He's retired before. I know Lee Wood's coming off a loss against Kakachi, but I think Lee Wood, with their history, I'm going to take him on my long parlay. My boy GAR and Hiroka. This is a fun fight, man. This fight was supposed to go down already. We know it got postponed. So I'm putting a GAR to beat Hiroka there. GAR is one of my favorite champions in modern boxing, by the way. I just love how he operates. I love how studious he is. I love his devotion to the game and GAR's pedigree. Hiroka is legit, though. It'll be a fun fight. I think a guy like Andy Hiroka, his style will bring the best out of Gary Antoine Russell. Richardson Hitchens versus Duarte. Speaking of bringing the best out of each other, I think Duarte's pressure forward style, his aggression, mixed with Richardson Hitchens' jab and his speed and his technique will make. I think Hitchens is going to shine against Duarte. Hitchens is another one of my favorite boxers to watch. I like technicians. And then we are at Barrios versus Garcia is interesting. I didn't put that one on my parlay. We're in February. Sugar Nunez and Navarrete. I got Sugar Nunez to beat Navarrete. We are now at... So we're at 11 right now. Paying plus 2,600. Jazza versus Kakachi. I think Kakachi's highly underrated. Shout out to Jazza Dickens finally becoming a world champion, going to Turkey and beating Albert Badr Gaziev, then getting elevated. But now Anthony Kakachi, he was a world champion. We know what happened. We know he voluntarily got stripped because he didn't want to fight Sugar Nunez. He chose to fight a domestic clash in which he sold out an arena. And I love Kakachi here. At $1.49, I think that's amazing value. Moses Ituama, I'm not going to put that on the odds are, and we're ending it with, yeah, I think this is going to go to May. I think I put Benny on here. Yeah, and I'm taking Benny to beat Zerto. All right, guys, so that is 14 legs. Yeah, this is what I shared. I put this up in the Patreon as kind of what do we call that? This is a prospect bet. But 14 fights. Yeah, 100 gets you your money back. 5,632 bucks. So yeah, plus 5,700 odds. This is my type of parlay. When we're talking about a JSB insider parlay, baby, we out here eating. Let's go. So that's kind of a look ahead. I'm gonna actually right now that's a prospect parlay. I'm waiting till Friday actually, because all the other fights the odds aren't gonna shift as much. Make sure you have a book though, whatever sports book you use. Make sure you're using a book to where if one of these fights gets rescheduled or canceled, the whole thing doesn't void. Also, the books in Australia, make sure that's just money lines, because the minute you put a prop in there, let's say like you do 13 money lines and one of the fights you go method of victory, right? and then that method of victory fight gets canceled, their whole ticket will get voided. Okay, so I like compartmentalizing my tickets, and the longer you're in the Discord, the longer you watch my content, you'll learn my betting style. If I go heavy, it's probably going to be on a dog. If I go heavy, it's probably going to be on a method of victory. When we do these long parlays, like we hit all of our, we hit 15 out of 15 this past weekend. We hit 7 in Australia, and then we hit the 8 fights in California in the Indio Valley. And you're going half unit, but you're doing them for fun. You're doing it for entertainment. You're doing it to kind of like create momentum for your betting style. It depends on your bankroll, how heavy you go. So you hit a 7-legger, half unit, you take all that, you save it, you keep it in your account, and then you could go heavy. Or what I always tell people who are getting into betting, if it could pay a bill, cash it out. If it could pay your whatever, cash it out. I get frustrated sometimes when I talk to some of the guys and they're like, dude, man, I took your bets and I was up, but then I bet on digital horse racing and I lost everything. I'm like, bro, you need better systems. Create a system to where you tell yourself, no matter how high you're up, if you could pay a bill, deduct it. Also, don't bet to get rich. I say that every live stream. Don't chase, don't compare your winnings to anyone else's. Don't compare what you have to anyone else's. And this is a life lesson. You know what I mean? I was talking to my younger clients. I'm a coach and a teacher. One of my favorite quotes about the whole comparison thing is comparison is the thief of joy. If you're a content creator, don't compare yourself to other content creators. You'll find yourself being a hater. If you're a business guy, don't compare yourself to your, competition. Compare yourself to yourself. You know what I mean? The only person I'm in competition with is me on a daily basis. We might have people hating on us. You might have people talking trash. They're talking trash behind your back. They're basically projecting onto the universe what they hate about themselves. If you don't have my personal phone number, if you can't pick a phone up and call me, then you don't know me. So you can't be hating on me. That's how I'm wired. Like, I don't know you, bro. So whatever you're doing in life, don't compare yourself to other people. Your journey is your own journey. Betting, I see it a lot. I see a lot of young cats getting salty and they're trying to chase and they're trying to compare themselves. Like, nah, man, just do it at your own rate, do it at your own speed. Don't get too up, don't get too down. Here's another thing. If you win your ticket, don't do a video saying you're the best in the world. Don't post on your Instagram saying that like you're the king of this shit, because you're gonna lose one day. And if you lose, take it as a win. You know what I'm saying? Like, a really good book about this. I would talk about it all the time. The Book of Five Rings. Being a samurai about your wins and losses. You can't get too high with your wins. You can't get too low with your losses. Don't compare yourself to other people. It's all about having a strong mindset. Let's get into this. A comparison, Steve. Yeah, I bet to same, right? Same. If you bet and you make money, then you know what you're doing. From there, what you could also do is have compartmentalize your winnings in what, the best part about it is when you got, you hit and then you pay your cell phone bill, you pay your electric bill, I don't know where it is where you guys live in the world, but down here in Sydney, the way I have my place set up is my gas, electric, water, all the utilities, I pay them in quarters. I don't know if it's like, it wasn't like that when I lived in Vegas. It wasn't like that when I lived in LA. It wasn't like that when I lived in Pittsburgh. So I'm only saying this. In Sydney, the place I pay it in quarters. So my quarterly bills are all a lump sum, right? I'm like, pay that quarter and this quarter. So I have everything compartmentalized in quarters of the year, right? So when you get those quarters checked off of your gambling winnings, but you should also keep track of what you're betting as well. So like, don't just write down how much you've won, write down how much you're in and do a net as well, a net total. So yeah. I bet because I have a budget for, see, win. Your name is Win, bro. You're in the Discord. This dude's always winning. You let me show you. Win Santiago, boy. You're always up, boy. Sharing those hits. Uh we got, oh, I missed this. Sent from Pet. Oh, you were already a member, G. He just re-signed up. Oh, Win Santiago, appreciate you. Just saw the super chat. Yeah, Win's in our Discord. Win, you hit on NBA, you hit on American football. You're always up. Boxing, Goofy Doofy Brothers. What betting app is that you're using? So for the interface here, this is I live in Sydney, Australia. For the live streaming interface, this is called Sportsbet. But when we put when we place the bets, look, I sometimes am guilty of my own advice. Sports bet down here in Australia, if you bet on boxing and there's a tie, you lose. Okay? And I've been burned by that. We haven't had a tie in a while, a draw. But bet 365 if you're in Australia, if there's a draw, you don't lose. All right, yeah. So the reason for that is, as you can tell, the odds on bet 365 aren't as juicy, but because you're forced to do a two-way bet. On sports bet, the odds are juicier, but they're juicier because you're doing a three-way bet. You're betting the win, the loss, and the draw. On sports bet 365, you're just betting the win-loss. This is on the money line. Yeah, so I see. So your star's a different color because you've been here longer. So I'm not in control of that. The way YouTube has this set up, the YouTube memberships. Guys, if you're not in the Discord, to join the Discord, sign up on YouTube like Mosby right here. So the way YouTube has the membership set up, the longer you're a member on somebody's channel, your star changes at a different rank. So you're becoming OG status, Mosby. Jesse, I've been talking so much, I might sprinkle on Co. Yeah, dude. Let's see. Are we getting props? Look, I became a co-fan after the Gallegos fight. I wasn't a real believer. You guys remember, after the first Gallegos fight, people were making all these excuses for for Khalil, and I just wasn't buying it. And then he made me a believer. He made me a believer in that second fight. That jab, man, that jab was textbook. It was sharp, it was quick, and it was accurate. You know what I mean? That's something that doesn't get spoken about enough on channels like mine is accuracy. I talk about it, but being an accurate puncher is very important, especially at the highest level, especially when you have power. Because accuracy more often than not will lead to stoppages. There you go. Sent from Pet. That's right. But in Sent from Pet is talking to 79. He says it all comes down to being strategic. You can bet just to make more parlays, to take those profits. And what we're talking here, boys, is 79 cent for pet is strategy. Everybody needs their own strategy. Everybody has their own different strategy. I know guys who are, when I lived in Vegas, I was a goddamn cowboy. I mean, Vegas is no place for a 26-year-old. Like, I was a goddamn animal, meaning that in my game was blackjack and roulette. So I was a ride or die sort of dude. I remember being up, I'm walking through the casino, I have like $3,000 of chips in my pocket, and my boys are in town, and I'm just walking by each roulette wheel, putting $100 chips down, 100, and I would just go red or black, boy, red or black, red or black, red or black. Stupid. You always go home broke if you bet like that. But I had to learn my strategy through losing everything when I lived in Vegas. So now I make more money than I've ever had off of betting on boxing because of all those years I spent winning and then losing everything. I didn't have a strategy. It's almost like I didn't want to go home with money. The rush in itself was winning and then rolling it all on the line, taking everything I won and then in a split second seeing if I could double or triple it. And I didn't realize it in the time. It wasn't a conscious decision of mine in the time. It's not why in the moment I was doing it, but looking back, it's almost what it was. You get addicted to the pump. You get addicted to the juice, that thrill of like, oh shit. Ah. And then you're like, God damn, I lost it all again. It happened again, boys. I lost it all. If Khalil could replicate that shotgun jab like he did against Gallows, he could get the knockout. Let's have a look. I don't think we have props yet on it, but I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, we're not getting it yet. We're not getting props yet, but I have my eyes on a method of victory here, either decision or a stoppage. Jesse Hart's 36-year-old legs, guys. This is a young man's sport. That energy we saw in Co. That's what I'm leaning on. Energy. That sort of with energy comes bravado, comes recovery. It's not just chat. Khalil Ko could punch too. Vegas gamble, a whole different league. Yeah, but Eddie, it taught me though strategy. So that's what we were talking about strategy. You have strategy. Don't just win. Have strategies on what to do after you win. The greatest example of this is Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. I brought it up on the show before. Years after Buster Douglas retired, he was asked by the interviewer. He said, you go into that Tyson fight, you're a 40-1 dog, um, but the self belief all fight week was amazing. And Douglas goes, nobody in the world thought I was going to beat Tyson except me and my camp. My camp and myself were the only ones in the world who knew I was going to win. Where I fell short was nobody prepared me how to act after I won. He didn't have a strategy on how to live like a champion. He had only prepared to be a champion. So this comes back to strategy and some nuances of how to gamble and how to bet. You can't just you can't just how many of you guys out there watching this have hit like 3-4 bets in a row and you're up a couple thousand and you got that pump and you could see the number in your app and you keep closing the app and you keep opening the app to check it out and that becomes a thing and then you're like, all right, I could just double this, I'll turn this 3 into 6, I'll turn this 6 into 12, and then what happens more often than not? You don't. Something happens, you lose. You got to have strategy. You have to know how to live after you won. So that's when I come back to like pay your mortgage, pay your car if your car's not paid off. See, I live a life with I live a life by choice without debt. So I don't, if I can't, I'm not going to put many things on credit. So, but a lot, it's the world we live in. A lot of us do. So if you have a lot of things on credit, pay the credit card bill, pay your car bill if it's not paid off, pay your phone bill however you handle that, your utilities. Have a system and strategy in place on how to live once you won. Because the most frustrating thing is when you took that plus 400 dog and you went heavy on it and you didn't cash out, or you parlayed it with a touchdown score. You know what I mean? So have strategy going forward because the whole goal is for you to win and then save. What's Hart's best win in his 14-year career? It might sound harsh, but Hart is a washed up. Yeah, let's pull it up. But he's from Philly. He's from Philly. 31-3, 25 knockouts. He's been inactive. 36 years old. He's a 6'3" light heavy orthodox fighter. We haven't seen him fight in over a year. Best win. Sullivan Barrera? DeMont Nicholson? Not a lot there. Legit pro. Legit pro. I think Khalil Ko has world champion aspirations, though. For real. I think with Khalil Ko's jab, I think the jab itself, man, is you don't see like it's like somebody said it's like a shotgun jab. I really like how he extends his body too when he throws it. He doesn't short arm it. Box Rec is tripping. Pop's tripping, man. He want me to ask for my bike back. You know I wouldn't trip. Khalilko 10-1, one draw, 8 knockouts, 5'10" orthodox. Big step up. I love when a fighter gets his get back too. You know what I mean? I cheer for guys like that who cop the L and then in the rematch they get their get back, or a draw, and then in the rematch they get their get back. He drew Aaron Casper early days, second pro fight. Now this is a kid with a lot of shine behind him, man. This is and Khalil Ko. This is a 29-year-old where people talk about him. You know what I mean? People been talking about him. We knew Khalil Ko's name, and I think maybe Jesse Hart is coming into this fight thinking that Khalil Ko thinks he is what Jesse Hart thinks he is, if that makes sense. Every time Jesse has stepped up, things haven't gone his way. And I think in boxing, that's what separates the greats and the goods, the world champions and the Hall of Famers, is when you step up, how do you perform? So I think, there is going to be some vitriol. There's going to be some psychology. There's going to be some emotion on this fight. I don't think we'll see if Khalil Ko's the type of guy to fall for that. 6'3", 5'10", though. We got to talk about that size difference. I don't know how much we could trust Box Rec. I always wait to the weigh-ins. We saw this with Sky Nicholson's last fight. She was fighting a girl, and her Box Rec said she was 5 feet tall. And during the face-off, Sky's opponent looked at least her height. And that's just one of countless examples of, we could talk about what the stats say, because those are perimeters that I use when I do my film study. You have to talk about how tall a guy is and how long their reach is. But sometimes, you also have to watch them stare down and face off and see what the true numbers say. We'll see if Jesse Hart's a legit 4 or 5 inches taller than Khalil Ko. I don't even think it'll matter, though. I think sometimes when you have a shorter light heavyweight who has a good jab, I mean, Mike Tyson was a really undersized heavyweight, and he made it work for him. You could get inside the range if you're quicker, you have more explosivity, you use your levels, you have power. We'll see what fight he likes to fight. I think this is Khalil Ko easy money. Hart been on the shelf for a long time, was supposed to fight Morel and Benny. I think he's at least wants to survive or go for the kill. Chat, what is Jesse Hart's best victory? Hello, Johnny. This is Chat. His best victory was his loss against Zerto. It's kind of what we're dealing with. Yo, saw on the news Vargas Jr. and brother Amato Vargas got involved in a fist fight. Yeah, I posted that up on my story. I got more information if you want to talk about that. Rumor is Amato and Vargas Jr., not Emiliano. Emiliano wasn't in this. But I put it up on my Instagram. They got into a fight in a Vegas lobby because allegedly they were out with some girls. They met them at a bar, and they started trying to one-up each other who the better fighter is. And Amato said, "What are you talking about, man? You're coming off a loss." And then this is they were just trying to brothers do this sort of thing. I don't think it's much more than that. People just happen to have cell phones everywhere. Some of the best fights I've ever witnessed were, some of my good buddy Justin and Jake. Jake was 3 years older than us. Watching them two brothers go at it with hands. Brothers tend to fight, especially if you're fighters. Jake and Justin were both state wrestlers. So I don't think it's anything that they couldn't get past. DJ, I win all my money on boxing, then turn around. Stop. I do it for the pump. Stop, DJ. I do it for the pump. You gotta have some perimeters. What's up, Jay? Hart said he was pissing blood after Zerto fights. Sustaining permanent punishment doesn't make you a better fighter. No. Just kind of makes you a journeyman. Emma Banana, let's go Mur and Kerr. Yeah. So you think Murtazalev's going to beat Andy? These are good fights. Look, there's definitely I'll be uploading my breakdown tomorrow. Raymond Muratalla versus Andy Cruz, and then the following week we got Shakur and Teo. I like Shakur to beat Teo. I got Andy beating Muratalla. I like Muratalla though. I'm up 30K. Amazing. See, if if you're up 30K, I don't know what your bankroll is. I don't know what your situation is, but there's a lot of people out there that 30K could really help them. So wherever you're standing is, if you're up 30K, you got you got plans. You know what I mean? You got perimeters in place that you're working towards a goal. It seems like. Totally agree with you, Brent. I appreciate you, man. Not everybody. We don't need everybody to agree with us, guys. I don't need. Don't take this personal. I don't need new friends. My college coach used to say that, and that's kind of a philosophy I live by. It's like we don't need everybody to love us. We don't need everybody to like us. Not everybody's going to agree with us. People aren't going to agree with it. We don't need that. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am as a man. I'm a focused, driven type of dude who's been on my own my whole life. So. When you get to that stage in your life, guys, that's called personal sovereignty. I talk about this in my second book. I write a whole section of a chapter on personal sovereignty, the place in life where you get to as a man where nothing, dude, the haters don't matter, the naysayers don't matter, your past, it doesn't matter, your mistakes don't matter. You know who you are, you're goal driven, you're disciplined, and you're working towards your best version. That's the most freeing place you'll ever get, and that should be everyone's goal, is working towards that place, personal sovereignty. Jesse Hart might be more craftier than what we think because there's a lot. No, look. I'm not just saying Khalil's in for a fight. Khalil Co's in for a fight. Jesse Hart sees he's a real pro, seasoned vet, big dude, 36. I don't like the age. I don't like him on the shelf because of I don't like how much time he's been on the shelf. I don't like how old he is. I don't like the matchup for him. I think he's going to be tricky, crafty early the first quarter of the fight, rounds 1 through 4. I don't think Jesse Hart's the type of guy, though, um, down at this stage of his career. I mean, he's never been stopped. So that takes into consideration, you know, conditioning is going to be a thing. I like Khalil Ko here. The play this week is Majmov going the distance for the Dominican Olympian. Yeah, the odds on that are horrible, man. We're only getting money line odds right now. I agree with Love. I agree with Eddie. I think Sullivan Barrera. And when did that happen? It happened years ago. Years ago. Yeah, or Damon Nicholson. That's right. Julius, how about you come on this week and sell us on Muratalla? Look, we have receipts dating back 3 weeks ago. Julius has been on the live talk. You've liked Muratalla since jump. Julius he's not a believer in the Andy Cruz world champion narrative. Julius has stated before that Andy Cruz has left a lot of what makes him shine in the amateurs. He thinks that at this stage of the game, 31 years old, Muratalla is going to be the one who's going to come out on top. So you get that right, man. That's a good eye. That's a good call. I think what I'm seeing is like 80-20. I'm not seeing many people picking Muratalla to win, but I'm seeing Julius standing on business. Moran and Muratalla are worlds apart. Yeah, now we're talking about, look, you can get wobbled from a guy and win, and it's weird how like getting wobbled. I mean, we do bet money on this, so we do have to. This just shows how educated our chat is. Because if we weren't talking about betting money and we're just at the bar, I would then push back on this. I would be like, yeah, but fighters who get wobbled and still win or win by knockout, what are we even talking about? They won the fight. But if we're talking about betting and you're looking for edges and you're looking for angles on maybe, and Muay is an undefeated champion, elevated champion, never won the title in the ring, but he is the champion and he's the underdog. So when we're talking about searching for dogs here, you bring up good points. I don't hate that pick actually. I don't hate the Muay pick. I just really love what Andy Cruz does really well. I think he's world class. I really love the link up with Bozy in Philly. I like what the work he's done in the dungeon there in Philly. I like what I've seen the last few fights of it. He's sitting down on his punches. This is what we thought we predicted, and this is why Andy Cruz moved to Philly. because you're learning to sit down on punches, go from that Cuban amateur scoring point style to a pro style. Getting to train next to guys like Jaron Ennis, one of his era's biggest punchers, being taught by the dad who taught Jaron to punch, his pops. So I like it. And we've seen it in Andy's performances as of late, not being so shifty in the feet, sitting down on that backhand and turning on that back. So I don't think we've even seen the peak of Andy Cruz. I think Morataya's game is when I say one dimensional, I don't mean that he does, he all he has is like Ryan Garcia, all he has is a left hook, one dimensional. I think Morataya's style, his offensive artillery, what you see in Morataya's style, I think is one dimensional in terms of prepping and game planning for. And I think that style is kind of tailor made for a quick, speedy, reflex timing guy like Andy Cruz to look really good. And I think we're going to see I think we're going to see Andy Cruz as a world champion. And it's a great fight. Hats off to the matchmakers. Hopefully both men go in healthy. That's all I care about. I just want both men to go in healthy and leave healthy. That's the coach in me. Still good. So I'm just proving okay. So this is me coach, giving Julius the time of the day because you got Mortai is the undefeated guy. He's the higher knockout to win ratio. He is the champion plus 210. I mean, I just don't see him like I'm not an odds better. There's certain guys in our Discord. Shout out to No Limit, man. No Limit's an animal. No Limit in my Discord wins, and he bets so brave. He must have a beautiful. He's a big better. He's one of our big dogs in that Discord, and I see the way he bets on American basketball. He's always betting on dogs, and when he wins, man. I like to dog hunt on boxing, right? But I don't just pick dogs because I see the numbers. Like I'm not just gonna ever take a guy because he's the underdog. I have to see the odds and then a path to victory. I don't see Moratai's path to victory. I don't think Moratai is going to be able to get past Andy Cruz's speed and timing. Speed kills in boxing. I can't wait to see this fight. I'm a big Moratai fan. I've broken down his fights before. Go to my fight prediction playlist so you know I'm not I'm not a hater on any of these guys. It's not like I'm a fan of anybody. I don't go into what I do fanning these fighters. We're coming at it from a logical perspective, what we see. Stylistically, I think speed. In Moratai's power, it's not a one-punch knockout thing either, though. There are holes in his game too. He's like technically, on his combinations, how he punches, where he punches. Andy Cruz is an accurate puncher. Blazer, appreciate you. E Blazer, L Blazers, a Johnny Says Boxing VIP. They're in our Discord or our Patreon. He said this is why boxing is one of the best sports. 100%. We are fans of the greatest sport in the world. What other sport? You have a ring. You have two men. All they have are their fists. A bell rings. Ding, ding. Who's the better man? I mean, boxing has its fuckery. We know about that. Whatever money's included, money's funny on all levels. Like some advice, if I were you guys, if you guys are into entrepreneurialism, it sounds fun on the record. Starting businesses with friends, money is funny. I have two of my best friends I've had since I was 12 years old. I've had to deny going into business with both of them various times because money is funny. I don't do business with close friends because of that. But whenever money's involved in anything, think about how much money exchanges hands in boxing. Corrupt promoters, managers. We're seeing what's happening right now with Virgil. And this is an age-old story. So what makes boxing great is what happens within those ropes. One of my favorite quotes, boxing is life's greatest lie detector. You could be anybody you want to be outside that ring. But as soon as that bell rings and you step within those ropes, all truth will come out. Here's another thing, I'll leave you on this. Why is boxing called the squared circle? Why is it called the squared circle? When you're training boxing, you're training for your opponent. You're fighting. The reason why there's four corners. So you're fighting in a ring with four 90-degree angles. What is 90 times 4? 360 degrees. What is the circumference of a circle? 360 degrees. Nine, four 90-degree angles. 300, the squared circle. So with that being said, that's why footwork matters when you want to put a guy in a corner. You want to put a guy in the corner, you're working off of a quadrant. You're training that lead foot. You're trying to get out. If it's orthodox for orthodox, there's the battle of the lead foot. You're trying to parry that jab, circle away from that backhand if he's a big puncher, trying to set your punches up. So when you're looking at boxing from that that side of the game, speed matters, reflexes matter. And I'll see you guys in the next one.